All right, I'm going to go ahead and start the recording. So, let's see, I've got no top of my head here, so I'm going to adjust this just a little bit. All right, so officially, I am starting. Welcome to the Autumn Days of Deepening webinar. This is the second in a three-part series. You may have caught the first one, or you may not have. Either way is fine. They're all standalones. Basically, the reason that I'm doing this is that as the days get shorter and the nights get longer, autumn gives us a time to kind of pull in, contract. It's a time of letting go of any excess, composting what you no longer need from what you might have achieved or accumulated during the summer. This time of year is all about consolidating energy, bringing yourself back to center, preparing for the long nights or short days of winter. Like I said, this is a time of contraction, and you may or may not be feeling that in your life. Some people do feel kind of that sharpened pencils. They're good to go. The weather's cooler, so they have more energy. And other people have a sense of like, oh, they mourn the lack of the long days and that kind of thing. But wherever you happen to be on the spectrum, I think it's really useful to look at some of these Chinese medicine concepts around how to really optimize our energy during this time of year. Because autumn is all about contraction and constriction. It's the element of metal being the kind of core essence. So some of this I'm going to be reviewing from last time, and then we'll be moving into some new material, but I think it's worth repeating. I know I review this for myself almost weekly just to kind of remind myself, to give a context to what's going on in my life and how that coincides with what's happening in nature, right? So the trees are losing their leaves, things become more bare, more stark. So that's part of what happens here. This is a time of pruning and of releasing and of letting go, of balancing, and like I said, contraction. Now, if you have been in I have a Way of Joy women's community where we meet basically every week. And so if you're in that community, you know that I've talked a lot about the concepts of expansion and contraction. That we've been, the summertime is fiery energy. It's all about expansion of your energy. Then we move into the end of summer, beginning of fall, which is really kind of neutral in terms of expansion and contraction. But then by the time we get to fall, it's really that time of starting to pull in. The emotion that's associated with that pulling in is grief. And that pretty much goes across the board in Chinese medicine, that lungs are associated with grief. So lungs are the organ of autumn. The element is metal. The color is white. The animal is a tiger. The sensory organ is the nose. So being able to smell crisp apples or crisp air of autumn. Those are all to do with the themes that kind of come up during this time of year. And like I said, it's a time when you might feel sorrow or grief. So whether it's something that's happening culturally or politically, where you have a sense of needing to let go of certain old held beliefs or to be able to move forward to sustain your energy, or whether it's something more personal. I know for me, this is a time of year. It's just been a little over a year since my mom died. And so I've really had her in my heart. And for a while, I was sort of walking around going, why am I feeling so mournful? Why am I feeling so sad? It's, right now. I mean, I had carried the letting go of her, of course, for many months after she died. But why was it coming up now? And I was like, oh, that's right. It's autumn. It's the time to really let that happen. And when we move energy through the lungs, and when we start to embrace that letting go process, we start to instill ourselves with the energy of courage. So I always love that, because it's always about, for me, the courage to really face what it is that we need to let go of, what it is. It's sort of like a fist releasing it. Again, the trees losing their leaves. So this is a really potent time to allow yourself to embrace contraction. Now, contraction is something that, is kind of gets a bad rap, right? People hear contraction, they go, oh no. But, well, some people do, of course, not everybody. But I think that the idea that we expand and contract constantly, really every day, sometimes every hour, where our energy expands out And then there's this time of pulling back in. Our lungs expand and contract. The night goes into day, goes into night. That's all expansion, contraction. Flowers open and then they appear to close. There's all this expansion and contraction that's happening with the living, breathing universe that we're a part of. To be able to embrace that contraction as a way of coming back to your core, coming back to your center, coming back to who you are. I think I can't remember if last time I talked about, I used to I still do a lot of theater, but in the past, it used to be that I would do a show and then I would contract radically after that show would come to a close, and I would sort of go into a whole sort of self-punishing place, like, oh, I shouldn't have done this or I shouldn't have done that. Anyway, after that expansion of having done a show, I would go to this contraction. And so the study for me in the last 20 plus years has been, how can I embrace contraction in a way that allows me to come home, like coming home to your own center, coming home to a candle in the night. And that's what this time of year is all about, coming home to you. So it's a time to really work on the chi of the lungs. It's also a time to just really make sure that your self-care or even radical self-care is in place. So whether, I know some of you love to do spas and go away, others of you might just want to take a walk in nature or spend some time camping. Other people may feel like they just want to eat really nourishing foods. Whatever it is that is really about self-care, self-nourishment, to kind of cradle your own precious self, to allow that release to happen. I'd love, if you want, to go ahead and open up your chat window, and if you can, to just write down, whether you did this last time or not, to write down anything that feels like you are releasing right now. So you might have done something, written about something last time that was really, not appropriate anymore. You may have noticed that you had let that go, and so there's something else. So let's go ahead and put in the chat, this week I'm letting go of, and then just fill in the blank. This week I'm letting go of, and just fill in the blank. And as you do that, just type that in. I'm going to go ahead and do a little bit of Qigong. But what I'd like to suggest is that as you think about what it is that you're releasing, and I'm not seeing people writing. Hi, Trish. Yes, letting go of the anger from the Supreme Court hearings. And I think that that's for so many people, the country and the elections. I think that's so common for people to, that this is a time where we've been holding this really tight, and to let go, to allow ourselves to grieve. And again, it's all about coming back to the core of what will sustain you over time, because this is a time to really work with that. Letting go of cloths that you don't, and too long to-do list, and financial challenges, and clearing the clutter. Clearing the clutter is one of the best uses of this time. So if you have a lot of paper stacked up on your desk, it's a good time to clear that. Again, it's all about coming back to what helps you move forward, helps sustain you. And if you have a lot of things kind of all around your mind and thinking a lot, that can interrupt that. Letting go of having to figure it all out. I'm seeing a lot of things about clothes and clutter. So yes, the clutter, I don't know, I know that one of the members of the Way of Joy Qigong community is Joan Silva. If you don't follow her on Facebook, if you're on Facebook, I suggest that you do. She's got a whole page dedicated, a whole group dedicated to clutter and decluttering, and little assignments every day. It's very, very useful, especially if you're somebody who tends to accumulate without even noticing that you have. So as you sort of think about this, or write it down, or acknowledge these different things, what I'd like to do now is to just take a moment to feel where you're holding any of that in your body. And I'd like you just to do a little bit of bouncing. So if you're seated in a chair, you can do this, or if you're standing, to keep your knees soft. And it's not vigorous, it's not painful. Do what feels right for your body. If you're in a wheelchair, just go ahead and you can move your shoulders if that's possible. Let yourself just relax your jaw, relax the space between your eyebrows. I'm standing, and you're welcome to do that either way. If you are standing, I'm going to ask that you have your feet parallel, about hip distance apart, and we're just bouncing. I'd like you to just let your shoulders bounce a little bit and your head bounce. And I'd like you now to just imagine you're brushing out of your energetic field anything that does not serve you. So as you write, letting go of mental clutter, for example, one person said mental clutter, or letting go, or the intention to let go of other clutter that may have emotional meaning for you. Just have a sense that you're brushing it off. Notice where you feel it in your body, and literally just imagine cleansing it off of you, just taking it out, letting it just go, okay? And then take a deep breath, and as you exhale, I'd like you just to sigh. Okay, let's do that again. Deep breath in and sigh. And one more time, inhale, exhale. And let's just do a little bit more Qigong. So we've kind of stirred stuff up with the bouncing or the shaking practice, which, by the way, is a practice that kind of permeates all the different Qigong systems I've encountered. Shaking is one really basic foundational thing that you can even do, while you're waiting for your gas to fill in your tank, or you're waiting for the bus, or you can do it, very subtly maybe when you're waiting online at the grocery store. And then this Qigong, what we're going to do is we're going to take the left hand and place it underneath the right knuckles. And you're going to bring your hands down by your belly. And as you inhale, bring your hands up to your heart. And as you exhale, drop down. This is a review from our last time. So you're going to inhale as your hands come up. And exhale as they release down. Again, breathing in. And breathing out. Now, as you continue to do this movement, you're going to place the tip of your tongue on the roof of your mouth behind your front teeth. Tip of the tongue on the roof of the mouth behind the front teeth. What this does is it connects your yang channel coming up your back over the top of your head with the yin channel, which goes down the front of your body, the governing and the functional channels. Okay, so as you inhale, hands come up. Exhale, and as you exhale now, I'd like you to let your buttocks relax. Just imagine energy that you just sort of shook up and shook out, dropping down through your legs, down through your feet, down into the earth where it can compost. As you inhale, you're drawing up that fresh, grounded energy up through your body, up through your legs, up your spine, up to your heart center. And as you exhale, just let that drop down. And breathe in. And breathe out. And then place your hands on your lower belly, right between your belly button and the top of your pubic bone, your what's called lower dantian. And we're going to just take a moment to breathe here. Feel the connection between your belly and your hands. And as you breathe, I'd like you just to notice if your breath feels shallow or deep. Not forcing anything, just being aware, just noticing whatever you notice there. And now I'd like to do something called the 6-direction breathing. Now, 6-direction breathing basically is working with increasing your capacity for breath. Again, it's not about forcing, because Qigong is always about how can we stay effortless. So that's one of my favorite things about it. It really appeals to, a call for me to be a little bit more lazy. But when you work with 6-direction breathing, basically what we're doing is, first of all, and you just can do this, I'm not going to show you anything, I just want you to do it with me. As you breathe, I'd like you to imagine that you're getting longer, especially in your solar plexus. So you're breathing, and as you inhale, it's almost like you're getting a little taller, and then as you exhale, it contracts a little bit. But it's a sense of lengthening with your breath in and then out. And again, inhale, long breath, and exhale, release. And again, inhale and exhale. So that's one direction, or two directions, up and down. Now we're going to focus on side to side breath. So place your hands on your ribs. And as you inhale, just let your ribs expand. And then as you exhale, let them just come in a little bit. So inhale, the ribs open up, shoulders are relaxed, jaw is relaxed, space between the eyebrows is relaxed. And as you exhale, those ribs just come in. So see if you can literally feel your ribs move. Again, not with forcing, but permitting, allowing that sense of movement, easy movement from side to side with your breath. And then release. Let's just do this a couple more times, focusing on just the side to side. Inhale and exhale. And breathe in. And breathe out. And then just shake a little bit. So we've gone up and down and we've gone side to side. So the last two directions are front and back. Now, one of the reasons I'm taking some time to really focus on 6 direction breathing, it's like I said, the autumn is very much focused on the lungs. So when you might find yourself, I found myself fighting a little bit of a flu cold the other day. So I just went for my Chinese medicine and I did some qigong for my lungs and it cleared up. But you might find more congestion starting to happen. Very important to keep those lungs really fluid, really able to go in and out, be able to move really freely. So if you practice 6 direction breathing, that allows the lungs to clear, where a lot of times we forget to even breathe, right? You might be in a hurry or in stress or watching results that are happening in politics or whatever it is that gets you to stop breathing. This is really important to be intentional, at least once a day. I would recommend in the morning and the night before you go to bed, and maybe once during the day. You can do this certainly at any point. You can be working on your computer and still do it. You can be walking you're walking your dog in between. You can be doing anything at all and focus on, oh, how am I breathing? Try a few times, up, down, side to side. Now we're going to go front and back. So you have one hand on your belly, and if your shoulder permits, you're going to put the other hand on your back, so that you just are going to feel the sense of opening here. So inhale, opening front and back. And you do want to breathe in your back, not just in your front. Okay, so inhale as your hands are lightly touching. And if your shoulder doesn't like that, you can just put both hands on your solar plexus. Don't strain yourself. Never want these to strain in these qigong processes. So as you inhale, feel your belly open, but see if you can feel your back ribs. You exhale, just let that release. Again, breathing in, expanding front and back, and then exhaling. And breathing in, no force, and breathing out. Really just think about allowing yourself to relax all those muscles, all these surrounding muscles here that operate the diaphragm and so forth, to let them all just relax, to permit more air, more oxygen, drawing in oxygen from the plants, the trees around you. And as you exhale, you're sending out CO2, right, carbon dioxide, to be able to feed the plants. So we're in a state of constant reciprocity. We're breathing in energy from the plant life that's part of our ecosystem. We're breathing out, we're feeding that plant life. So be aware that you're having this energetic exchange every time you take a breath, which is kind of amazing to think about. So one more time, forward and back, inhale, and then exhale. And then just relax your arms and just do a little bit of shaking. And now we're going to do all 6 at once. Up, down, side, side, front, back. Let's try. So it's almost like a balloon getting really full and then just slightly deflating and then getting full again. So go ahead and breathe in. Front, front, back, side, side, up, down, exhale, release. Again. And release. I'm smiling because I'm just thinking, so funny to be on camera and all we're doing is breathing, which is kind of a cool thing. So again, front, back, side, side, up, down, inhaling and exhaling. Let's do it again. Full up, and exhale down. So you've just created, you continue to breathe, of course, and you can continue with 6-direction breathing or not, but it's kind of cool to think that that as you're doing this, you're actually creating internal space inside of you. And the thing about chi is that it moves in the space between. So when we start to open up space, you're opening up space for energy to flow. And I mean that literally, like energy to get up and go type of energy, as well as the energetics that operate through your meridian system, or the energy that keeps you in balance. It's so simple and it seems so basic, and goodness knows there's always people telling you to breathe, and there's all kinds of ways to breathe. But for 6-direction breathing, it's something fairly simple that allows space to open for chi to travel. So it travels like if you think about a river and there's stones in the river and the water just flows around those stones. This allows that chi to move around any obstacles and start to fill up this whole cavity of your solar plexus. And I'm going to be talking more about this solar plexus next time. There's a concept called Wei Qi that I talk about for those of you who are in the Way of Joy women's community. That's a whole topic that has to do with how our energy connects with people, how we show up for people, how we show up in our own power, standing our ground. Particularly important for us now, right? As these days it becomes more important to really hold on to that stamina and to be able to express ourselves, to be able to tell our story, to be able to be out there in whatever ways we are, whatever it is that you do that helps contribute to the raising of the energy. Right now, during days that are so hard and so constrictive, between autumn and between, at least in this country, I know there's people from all over the world here, but in this country, what we're dealing with, to be able to really have that sense of sustainability and also grounded presence, to be able to show up and speak out and, like I said, contribute in whatever ways that you can. Okay, so the other theme about autumn that I want to be sure that we get to today is the theme of what is your core? So just like I said, the element is metal, just like buildings are built on a metal foundation. I have a big building process going on right down around the corner from me. So I'm looking at all these metal girders going. What is the core quality that you know that you can count on? Some part of you that you know has been true from ever since you were a child, some quality that you carry. So if you were to write down, again, in the chat, let's see if I can find the chat. Let's see, one of my core qualities, one of the core qualities I have that I can count on is, one of the core qualities that I can count on is. So go ahead and start to please put that into our chat. Kindness, yes. Yes, and it's interesting because kindness is a lot to do with the liver energy, and that's very balancing the liver and lungs together. The lungs kind of control what's called control the liver. So having that sense of kindness being a result is really beautiful. Building bridges, integrity, perseverance, being a learner and a teacher, beautiful. Determination, yes, a core quality of determination. I think that's true, Mady. It's something that I've seen you have, that you are just, you have a focus that doesn't quit. Yes, I think you're right, Harriet. I love that you tune into that 6-direction breathing, let you know how much you're holding in those places that where so many of us hold tension, clenching our buttocks or hunching our shoulders, and that core quality of freedom. Yes. Empathy, courage, integrity. These are all such important core qualities. And by the way, if somebody writes something that's yours also, that's good. Go ahead and know that that's yours also, or borrow from anybody that you see, because of course we can also have more than one core quality. But it's really looking at not just what do I feel right now is something, but really something that I've always cared about. I think for me, it's also integrity, Betty Ann. I think that there's something about that sense of really caring about creating balance in the world, and also being able to integrate all the different aspects of information that come to me. I think of that as integrity as well. So when we think about that, then what I'd like to do, I'm going to go ahead and move this chat if I can, is to put your hands so that you're, and again, this is a review from last time as well. You can put your hands, just cross your arms over your heart or over your chest, and take your middle finger and take it to your collarbone. So just see if you can feel that that bone, right, the clavicles, and then move your middle finger, which by the way represents fire and the heart, bringing the heart and lungs together in this case to encourage courage, right, heart, courage, and bring the middle finger to the lung 1 point, which is right below your clavicles. So with the arms crossed, if you slide your fingers down to below that bone, then you'll feel this is a place where there's a hollow where your middle finger just seems to fit as though it was made to, which of course it was. So now we're going to just circle those middle fingers there in those lung 1 points, also called Heaven's Gates. So just circling here. And this is basically heating or warming the metal. It's also helping to soften any areas that you're holding on to that really need to go, that leaf has to fall from the tree. So as we're circling here, we're giving ourselves the courage to let go of whatever we need to let go of, coming back to that core place that you named as your core quality, right? So whether it's freedom or integrity or kindness, there were a lot of beautiful words that came up. To go ahead and just imagine taking your middle finger, your heart, and infusing that reminder into your lungs so that you can continue to release and let go. Now, as we do this, I would like to ask you to, again, feel that moment of 6 direction breathing. Up, down, side, side, front, back. And then exhale, let go. And I'm going to ask you to, again, we did this one last time also, where it's a long medical qigong. And we're going to just inhale, take a deep breath and expand your arms out. And exhale out on an S sound. Now, 6 direction breathing, deep breath, front, back, side, side, up, down as you inhale, and exhale out, palms turned up. And I'd like you to take the sound of S sound and imagine sending that down into your lungs to vibrate the lungs. So you inhale. And again, breathe in. And breathe out. And then cross your arms, palms go back over the lungs. One more deep 6 direction breath. And then exhale and bring your arms up over your head and then down by your sides. And I'd like you to just feel your palms hovering, almost like you can feel the energy from the earth coming up into your palms. You might be able to tune into that electromagnetic vibration. The more you do this, the more sensitive you get to that feeling. If you don't feel anything, just pretend that you do. Okay, so there's a saying in Qigong, Yi Dao, Qi Dao, where your mind goes, the Qi follows. So you want to allow that energy to just travel up into your palms, or pretend that you do. And when you pretend, think about it, imagine it, it happens. Okay, good. So I want to check to make sure that there's no questions about any of those things, because I want to encourage you to go ahead and do these practices. The first one basically being, just to maybe shake a little bit. The second one to be able to go into that 6 direction breathing. Then and we did the releasing thing. You don't need to do that so much this week, but what I would encourage you to do is to just do a little bit of shaking, and then to do the 6 direction breathing. And then if you feel like you'd like to add on, to do this last move we did, which is a medical qigong for the lungs. One of the things that you want to be super careful of is what you eat. In Chinese medicine, they recommend not a whole lot of raw foods when it starts to get colder. We're still here in the Bay Area, still pretty warm most of the days. But you want to start to go towards warming foods. Lentils are really good for the lungs. Pears are excellent for the lungs. I have a wonderful pear recipe. If you drop me a line after this webinar, tell me what you thought about the webinar. I'll send you the recipe for it. I'm going to do one more webinar for autumn, and that's in November. The theme will be gratitude. And we're going to be working on the next level of working with medicine for the lungs before we move into the kidneys for winter. I'm going in December, I'm going to do a 5-day challenge. It's free. So please let me know if you're interested in that. It's going to be 5 days, about 10 minutes or 15 minutes a day of practice, maybe 10 minutes. I think I'll keep it super short so anybody can make time to do it. And just see what happens when you do 5 days of focused attention on moving chi. I think it's a pretty spectacular thing. If there's things that you feel like you want to work on or questions that came up, feel free to contact me. I do one-on-one sessions. I'd be happy to work with you in that way. And of course, I have my Way of Joy Women's Community. If you're interested in any of that or how to work with me further, I'd love to tell you. But for now, let me just say thank you so much for joining me today. Until next time, be well and let the chi flow. Bye-bye. Thank you, Harriet.
Bye, Vicki.
Bye.